Imagine this: you're at a party, a meeting, or maybe just bump into someone new, and suddenly, you need to introduce yourself in English. Your heart starts racing, your mind goes blank, and you're terrified of saying the wrong thing. I've been there, and I know how paralyzing that moment can feel. But what if I told you that introducing yourself in English can become one of the most natural and even enjoyable parts of your day? Stick with me, because in this guide, I'm going to walk you through every step, from that first nervous hello to mastering introductions that leave a lasting impression. We'll dive into simple phrases, cultural secrets, and confidence-building tricks that I've learned over years of teaching and practicing English myself. This isn't just about language, it's about connecting with people in a way that feels authentic and powerful. So, take a deep breath, and let's turn those introduction anxieties into your biggest strength. First things first, let's talk about why introductions matter so much. In any language, the first few seconds of meeting someone set the tone for the entire relationship. It's your chance to make a positive impact, show respect, and open the door to meaningful conversations. In English, this often starts with a smile and eye contact. Yes, even before you say a word, your body language is speaking volumes. I remember my first time introducing myself in English to a group of international colleagues. I was so focused on getting the words right that I forgot to smile, and it came off as cold. Lesson learned: a genuine smile can bridge gaps that words alone can't. Now, let's get into the basics. The most common way to start is with a simple hello or hi, followed by your name. For example, hi, I'm your name. It sounds straightforward, but the magic is in how you deliver it. Speak clearly and at a moderate pace, not too fast that you stumble, not too slow that it feels awkward. If you're in a formal setting, like a business meeting, you might say, "Good morning, my name is," your name. Notice the slight difference? I'm is more casual, while my name is leans formal. This tiny choice can shape how others perceive you. But here's a pro tip: always consider the context. Are you at a job interview? A social gathering? Or maybe a networking event? Each scenario requires a tailored approach. In casual situations, you can add a bit of personality. For instance, after saying your name, you might share a little about what you do or why you're there. Like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm really excited to be here today." This gives the other person something to respond to, making the conversation flow easier. Remember, the goal isn't just to state your name, it's to start a dialogue. So, ask a question in return, like "What about you?" or "How are you finding the event?" This shows interest and keeps the interaction balanced. Another key element is pronunciation. Don't worry about having a perfect accent, clarity is what counts. Practice saying your name slowly. If it's uncommon, you might even help others by spelling it out or offering a nickname. I used to stress over my name being mispronounced, but then I realized that people appreciate the effort when you guide them gently. For example, I'm Maria, it's pronounced Maria, but feel free to call me Mary if that's easier. This approach is friendly and inclusive. As we wrap up this first part, remember that introducing yourself is a skill you can hone. It's about being present, listening actively, and adapting to the situation. In the next sections, we'll explore more advanced techniques, like handling group introductions, using humor, and navigating cultural nuances. But for now, start with the basics: smile, make eye contact, and say your name with confidence. You've got this. Now that you've mastered the basics, let's dive into situations where introductions get a bit more complex. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt your confidence shrink? I certainly have. But here's a secret: group introductions don't have to be intimidating. In fact, they can be an opportunity to shine. When you're in a group, the key is to be inclusive and attentive. Start by making eye contact with everyone briefly, not just one person. Then, use a clear, friendly tone to say something like, "Hello everyone, I'm your name. It's great to be here." This immediately acknowledges the whole group and sets a collaborative tone. One technique I've found incredibly effective is the listen and link method. After stating your name, listen carefully to others' introductions and find common ground. For example, if someone mentions they're from a city you've visited, you can say, "Oh, I love London. I visited last year." This not only makes you more memorable but also builds instant rapport. Remember, in group settings, it's not about being the loudest, it's about being genuinely engaged. If you're in a formal meeting, you might add your role briefly: "I'm your name, and I handle marketing projects." Keep it concise to allow others their turn. Now, let's talk about humor. Using humor in introductions can break the ice, but it's a double-edged sword. If done well, it makes you approachable. If forced, it can fall flat. The safest bet is to keep it light and self-deprecating. For instance, if you're at a casual event, you could say, "Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a coffee enthusiast, which means I'm basically powered by caffeine." This reveals a bit about your personality without being overly personal. However, avoid jokes that might be offensive or too niche. Cultural context matters here. What's funny in one culture might not translate well. I learned this the hard way when I made a weather joke in the UK that confused my American friends. So, test the waters with mild humor and see how others respond. Speaking of culture, understanding cultural nuances is crucial for introductions in English. In many English-speaking countries like the United States or Australia, introductions are often casual and quick, with a focus on friendliness. But in the UK or Canada, they might be slightly more reserved initially. For example, in business settings in the UK, a firm handshake and direct eye contact are expected, while in the US, you might get a more enthusiastic greeting. Also, be mindful of personal space. In North America, people tend to stand about an arm's length apart during conversations, whereas in other cultures, it might be closer. When I first moved to New York, I accidentally stood too close to someone and they stepped back. It was a subtle but important lesson. Another aspect is the use of titles and last names. In formal situations, especially in professional environments, it's respectful to use Mr., Ms., or Doctor until invited to use first names. For example, "Hello, I'm Ms. Johnson," or when introducing yourself to someone older or an authority, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Smith." This shows professionalism and respect. Over time, as relationships build, you can transition to first names, but let the other person lead the way. As we explore these layers, remember that practice makes perfect. Role-play introductions with friends or in front of a mirror. Record yourself and listen back. Are you speaking clearly? Is your tone warm? These small adjustments can make a huge difference. In the next part, we'll tackle how to handle follow-up questions and keep the conversation flowing smoothly after that initial introduction. But for now, focus on being present in the moment and adapting to the group dynamics around you. Let's shift our focus to what happens immediately after you say your name. This is where the real connection begins. You've delivered a smooth introduction, and now the other person is looking at you, expecting more. This moment can feel daunting, but it's your golden opportunity to build rapport. The key is to be prepared with a few, simple follow-up sentences. I call this your conversational toolkit. Think of it as a mental list of go-to topics that are safe, interesting, and easy to share. The most common and natural follow-up to your name is stating your connection to the situation. Why are you here? For example, at a conference, you could say, I'm a software developer, and I'm really looking forward to learning about new AI trends. At a social gathering, you might say, I'm a friend of Sarah's from university. This immediately provides context and gives the other person hooks to ask you questions. It transforms a simple introduction into the beginning of a dialogue. Remember, people are often just as eager to keep the conversation going as you are, you just need to give them a little help. Next, master the art of the open-ended question. After you've shared a bit about yourself, turn the attention back to them with a question that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. Instead of, are you enjoying the event? Try, what's been your favorite part of the event so far? Instead of, do you work nearby? Ask, what kind of work do you do? This encourages a more detailed response and shows genuine interest. I've found that people light up when asked about their opinions or experiences. It makes the conversation a two-way street. Active listening is your most powerful tool here. It's not enough to just wait for your turn to talk again. You need to listen to their response and build on it. If they mention they're a teacher, you can ask, what grade do you teach? Or share a related thought like, I have so much respect for teachers, my aunt was one for 30 years. This technique, called echoing or threading, uses their words to create a natural flow. It demonstrates that you are fully present in the interaction, which is a rare and valued quality. Let me share a personal strategy one use, the AR method. Anchor, reveal, encourage. First, anchor your comment to something they just said. Then, reveal a small, relevant piece of information about yourself. Finally, encourage them to continue with another question. For instance, if someone says they're an architect, you could say, architecture is fascinating. I've always been amazed by sustainable building design. What project are you most proud of working on? This structure creates a rhythmic, engaging exchange that feels effortless. Finally, don't underestimate the power of a brief, positive conclusion. When the conversation naturally winds down, or you need to move on, have a graceful exit line ready. Something like, it was so great talking with you. I hope we can continue this later, or I'll let you circulate, but it was a pleasure meeting you. This leaves a positive final impression and makes future interactions much smoother. In the next part, we'll deal with how to handle those awkward moments and unexpected questions that can sometimes throw us off balance. Now, let's tackle the inevitable, those awkward moments. We've all faced them, the sudden silence, the forgotten name, or the stumble over words. It happens to everyone, even native speakers. The true test of your introduction skills isn't avoiding these moments, but knowing how to navigate them with grace. The first thing to remember is not to panic. A brief pause is perfectly normal. It doesn't mean the conversation is failing. Instead of frantically searching for something to say, take a calm breath. This simple act can reset the dynamic. A powerful tool for handling silence is the BAT technique: breathe, acknowledge, transition. First, take a silent breath to center yourself. Then, gently acknowledge the pause with a smile. You don't even need to mention it directly. Finally, transition to a new, simple topic. For example, you could comment on the environment, "This is such a nice venue," or ask a general opinion question, "What's a book you've read recently that you'd recommend?" This moves the focus away from the silence and onto a new, safe subject. What happens when you blank on someone's name seconds after they've said it? This is incredibly common. The worst thing you can do is pretend you remember. Instead, be politely honest. You can say with a friendly tone, "I'm so sorry, your name has just slipped my mind for a moment." Or, "Could you remind me of your name?" People are generally very understanding because it happens to them too. To prevent this, try using their name immediately after you hear it. "It's great to meet you, David." Repetition helps lock it in. Another common fear is making a pronunciation or grammar mistake. What if you say "I am work here" instead of "I work here"? The key is to not let it derail you. Unless it causes a major misunderstanding, simply continue the conversation. Most people are focused on the meaning, not hunting for errors. If you realize the mistake and it's bothering you, you can casually correct yourself. "Sorry, I work here." This shows competence, not weakness. I once accidentally said excited when I meant nervous, but I just smiled and said, "Well, a bit of both, actually." It turned into a moment of shared laughter. Finally, how do you handle an unexpected or personal question? In some cultures, questions about marital status or salary might come up. It's okay to have a polite deflection ready. A simple, "I prefer not to talk about that, but I'd love to hear about your work," redirects the conversation firmly but kindly. You are always in control of what you share. Remember, the goal of an introduction is to build a positive connection, not to divulge your entire life story. Mastering the recovery from these small hiccups will make you a far more confident and resilient communicator. Let's move beyond the simple exchange of names and professions. To truly captivate someone, your introduction needs a story. Not a long, complicated one, but a brief, compelling narrative that makes you memorable. Think of it as your personal highlight reel. This isn't about boasting, it's about sharing a genuine piece of what drives you. For years, I would just say, "I'm a writer." It was factual, but it always ended the conversation. Then I started adding a single, curious detail. "I'm a writer who is fascinated by how people communicate." It all started from trying to learn English myself. Suddenly, people were intrigued and asked more questions. The structure of this story is crucial. I use a simple three-part framework: the past, the present, and the future. Start with a tiny, relatable snippet from your past that led you to your current passion or role. This is your hook. For example, ever since I was a child taking apart my family's computer, I've been obsessed with how things work. Then, connect it to your present. That's why I now work as a systems analyst. Finally, add a forward-looking element to invite connection, and I'm always eager to learn how others solve complex problems. This structure creates a mini journey that people can easily follow and connect with. Your hook should be a specific, sensory detail. Instead of "I like science," say, "I remember the first time I looked through a microscope and saw a whole world in a drop of water." This paints a picture. It makes your introduction vivid and sticks in the person's memory long after the conversation ends. The goal is to be the person they remember as the one who was so passionate about that specific thing, rather than just another engineer or another student. But how do you find your story? Reflect on a moment of discovery, a challenge you overcame, or a simple joy related to your field. What was the spark? Perhaps you decided to become a chef after burning a batch of cookies as a kid and realizing you wanted to master the process. That small, humanizing story is far more engaging than just stating your job title. It shows vulnerability and passion, which are universal connectors. Remember to tailor the length of your story to the context. In a quick networking event, it might be one sentence. In a more relaxed setting, you can expand it to 2 or 3. Practice delivering it until it sounds natural and unrehearsed. The most compelling introductions don't feel like a script, they feel like a genuine sharing of enthusiasm. This narrative approach transforms you from a list of facts into a person with a history, a purpose, and a reason for someone to want to continue the conversation. In the next section, we'll explore how to adapt this powerful technique for a digital world. Now, let's translate everything we've learned into the digital world. How you introduce yourself online is often the first, and sometimes only, impression you will make. Whether it's a LinkedIn profile, a professional email, or a video call, the rules are different, yet the goal remains the same: to connect authentically. The biggest mistake I see is people treating their digital introduction as a formal, robotic CV. Instead, think of it as a conversation starter through a screen. Let's start with the video call introduction. This has become a fundamental part of our professional and personal lives. The camera adds a layer of complexity, but also opportunity. Before you even speak, your environment is introducing you. Ensure your background is tidy and your lighting is in front of you, not behind. When it's your turn to speak, look directly into the camera lens to simulate eye contact. It feels unnatural at first, but it creates a powerful sense of connection for the person on the other end. Your verbal introduction should be slightly slower and more enunciated than in person. A great opener is, for those who don't know me, I'm your name, and I lead the design team. I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion today. Crafting your professional bio or LinkedIn summary is your chance to use that narrative hook we discussed, but in written form. You have about 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. Ditch the overused, results-oriented professional with a proven track record. Instead, start with a compelling first-person statement. For example, I help companies tell their stories through data. It all started when I realized numbers could reveal a human narrative. This is immediately more engaging. Follow this with your key skills and a clear call to action, like feel free to connect or send me a message to discuss innovative data strategies. The professional email introduction is another critical skill. The subject line is your first introduction, make it clear and purposeful. Introduction, your name, is fine, but question about, topic, from, your name, is often more effective. In the body, be brief and respectful of the recipient's time. State who you are, why you are reaching out, and what you are asking for, all within a short paragraph. For instance, my name is, your name, and I'm a recent marketing graduate from university. I have been following your work on sustainable branding and would be grateful for the opportunity to ask you 2 brief questions. This shows you are prepared and value their time. Across all digital platforms, your profile picture is a nonverbal introduction. It should be recent, clear, and professional. A genuine, confident smile is universal. This small detail builds trust before you've even written or said a word. In our next part, we will put all these pieces together and practice crafting introductions for specific, high-pressure scenarios like job interviews and formal presentations. Now we arrive at the moments that often feel the most high stakes, the job interview and the formal presentation. The pressure is on, and every word seems to carry extra weight. I want you to reframe your thinking. These aren't interrogations, they are your premier stages to showcase your value and confidence. The foundation we've built, clarity, storytelling, and connection, now gets its most important application. Let's start with the job interview. The dreaded "tell me about yourself" question is not an invitation to recite your entire resume. It is a request for a concise, compelling professional narrative. This is where you deploy the past, present, future model with precision. Start with a brief sentence about your past that sparked your interest in this field. For example, my passion for logistics began during my university studies, where I was fascinated by supply chain optimization. Then, connect it to your present situation and key achievements. In my current role at XYZ Corp, I've focused on reducing delivery times by 15% through implementing new tracking software. Finally, pivot to the future and why you're here. I'm now looking to bring my skills in process innovation to a market leader like this one, and this position aligns perfectly with that goal. Keep it to under 60 seconds, rehearsed but not robotic. Beyond that first question, every answer should be structured. Use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. When asked about a time you handled a challenge, don't just describe the problem. Briefly set the scene, explain the task, detail the specific actions you took, and most importantly, quantify the result. This resulted in a 10% increase in client satisfaction, or it improved team efficiency, saving 5 hours per week. Numbers and outcomes make your contribution tangible and memorable. Now, for the formal presentation. Introducing yourself to a group from the podium requires a different kind of authority. Your introduction is your hook for the entire talk. Begin with more gravitas than a casual meeting. Good morning. My name is, full name, and for the past decade, I've been dedicated to understanding the psychology of consumer behavior. Immediately, you have established your credibility. Share a very short, relevant anecdote or a surprising statistic that ties directly into your topic. This isn't about you, it's about using your expertise to frame why the audience should listen. Your body language here is paramount. Stand tall, plant your feet, and use deliberate gestures. Make eye contact with different people across the room. Speak slowly and pause for effect. This conveys confidence and helps the audience connect with you personally. Remember, they are not just absorbing information, they are deciding if they trust you as the messenger. A strong, calm introduction sets a positive tone for everything that follows. In our final section, we will bring it all together and discuss how to make these skills an effortless, natural part of your daily life in English. This is where it all comes together. We have walked through the mechanics, the scripts, the strategies for tricky situations, and the art of the story. But knowledge is not power until it is applied. The final step, the most important one, is to make this skill feel utterly and completely your own. It's about moving from conscious effort to unconscious competence. How do we make introducing yourself in English as natural as breathing? Through intentional, consistent practice that rewires your habits. The first step is to abolish the pursuit of perfection. Perfection is a paralyzing myth. Your goal is effective communication, not flawless English. Every time you overthink a grammar rule and miss a connection, you've prioritized the wrong thing. I want you to embrace a good enough mentality. Was your introduction clear? Did the person understand you? Did you make a human connection? If the answer is yes, then it was a resounding success, regardless of any minor mistakes. The most charismatic communicators are often those who speak with confidence, not perfect accuracy. To build this ease, you must practice in low-stakes environments. This is your training ground. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Record a voice memo on your phone introducing yourself as if for a specific event, then listen back. Are you smiling? Does your voice sound warm? Next, find safe spaces to practice with others. Language exchange apps are perfect for this. The person on the other side is there to learn, just like you. There is no judgment, only mutual support. Introduce yourself to a barista, a shop assistant, or a fellow commuter when the context allows. These micro-interactions are weightless practice sessions that build your muscle memory. I want you to create a phrase journal. Don't just list vocabulary. Write down whole introduction phrases you hear in from movies, podcasts, or colleagues. Categorize them: formal openers, casual follow-ups, interesting hooks. This becomes your personalized toolkit. Then, practice switching between registers. Role-play with a friend. First, introduce yourself at a formal business dinner, then immediately switch to introducing yourself at a casual backyard barbecue. This flexibility is the hallmark of a true master. Finally, adopt the 1-second decision. When the moment to introduce yourself arrives, you have 1 second to decide. If you hesitate, the anxiety monster wins. So, make a pact with yourself: the very second an opportunity presents itself, you will take a small breath, smile, and say hello. Don't think about the sentence that comes after. Just start. The momentum of that first word will carry you through the rest. You have all the tools, now you must trust yourself to use them. This isn't about memorizing a script. It's about internalizing a mindset of openness and curiosity and letting your English flow from that place. The true secret to a masterful introduction lies not in the words you choose, but in the energy you project. We have covered the script, but now we must focus on the soul behind it. This is about the nonverbal communication that speaks louder than any vocabulary. Your posture, your eye contact, the tone of your voice, these are the channels through which your confidence and authenticity are truly broadcast. I want you to think of your body as an instrument, and it's time to tune it. Let's start with posture. Before you even utter a word, your body has already introduced you. Stand tall, with your shoulders relaxed and down, your chest open. This is not just about looking confident, it physically changes your breathing, allowing you to speak with more resonance and calm. Avoid crossing your arms, which creates a barrier, or putting your hands in your pockets, which can seem too casual. Instead, let your hands rest comfortably at your sides, ready for natural gestures. When sitting, lean slightly forward. This simple shift signals engagement and interest to the other person. I once practiced this in front of a mirror for a week, and the difference in how I perceived myself was staggering. Next, master your eye contact. The goal is soft focus, not an intense stare. In a one-on-one conversation, hold eye contact for a few seconds, then briefly glance away to the side before returning. This pattern feels natural and respectful. In a group, make a point to gently make eye contact with each person as you speak, slowly sweeping your gaze across the room. This inclusively makes everyone feel acknowledged. When you are listening, your eye contact should be steady, showing the speaker that they have your full attention. This is the foundation of true connection. Your voice is your other superpower. A monotone delivery can kill the most interesting story. Practice varying your pitch and pace. Emphasize key words in your introduction. For example, I'm really passionate about sustainable architecture, or my greatest strength is problem solving. Slow down slightly when saying your name. Use the power of the pause. A brief silence after your name or after a key point gives it weight and allows the information to sink in. Record yourself telling a short story and listen back. Are you engaging? Or would you tune yourself out? This feedback is invaluable. Finally, integrate it all with your mindset. Your internal state dictates your external presentation. In the moment before you introduce yourself, don't think about the words. Take one deep, quiet breath and consciously relax your jaw and shoulders. Think a positive thought, like I am curious to meet this person, or I have something valuable to share. This shifts your focus from your own nerves to the potential for connection. Your body, your eyes, and your voice will naturally follow this calm, open intention, creating an introduction that is not just heard, but felt. Now, let's prepare for the unpredictable. No matter how well you practice, you will eventually face a question that throws you off balance. Perhaps it's deeply personal, oddly specific, or about a topic you know nothing about. This is not a failure, it's a test of your poise. The key is to have a mental framework for handling these moments so you never again feel caught without a response. The first technique is the graceful pivot. You acknowledge the question briefly and then steer the conversation back to familiar territory. For instance, if someone asks, "What do you think about the current political situation?" and you are uncomfortable, you can say, "That's a complex topic." It does remind me of the importance of clear communication in any field, which is what I focus on in my work. This isn't evasion, it's diplomatic redirection. It shows you can handle difficult questions without being derailed. Another powerful tool is to bridge from the unknown to the known. If you're asked about a technical subject or a news event you're unfamiliar with, be honest but confident. Say, "I'm not directly familiar with that specific technology, but it sounds related to the trend of automation, which I find fascinating. My experience has been more in the user interface side of that evolution." This demonstrates intellectual honesty and a willingness to engage on a conceptual level, which is often more valuable than specific knowledge. When faced with a question that feels too personal, such as "Why aren't you married?" or "How much do you earn?" have a polite but firm deflection ready. A smile and a light tone are essential here. You could respond, "I prefer to keep my focus on professional matters at these events," or "I find it's better not to discuss numbers, but I'm happy to talk about my career path." Then, immediately ask them a question about their own professional journey. This establishes a boundary while keeping the conversation positive and flowing. Finally, remember the power of I. When you are put on the spot, frame your answer from your own perspective and experience. This is your domain, and no one can challenge it. Instead of trying to give a definitive answer on a broad topic, bring it back to yourself. From my perspective, or in my experience, I've found that. This makes your answer authentic and unassailable. Mastering these techniques of redirection, bridging, and framing ensures that you remain the calm, composed, and interesting person in the room, no matter what comes your way. In our next part, we will discuss how to beautifully conclude a conversation, leaving a lasting positive impression. A conversation's end is as critical as its beginning. A clumsy or abrupt goodbye can undo all the goodwill you've built. A graceful exit, however, solidifies the connection and makes future interactions something to look forward to. The goal is to leave the other person feeling valued and respected, with a clear sense of closure. Let's master the art of the elegant conclusion. The first step is recognizing and signaling the closing moment. The conversation will naturally hit a lull, or one of you might glance at a clock. This is your cue. You can use a physical signal, like gathering your belongings slightly or standing up straight if you've been leaning in. Combine this with a verbal cue that expresses gratitude. A simple, "It has been so wonderful talking with you," or "I've really enjoyed this conversation," warmly prepares the other person for the end. Next, offer a specific appreciation or a forward-looking statement. This is what makes the conclusion memorable. Instead of a generic "see you later," reference something you discussed. For example, "I really appreciated your insights on the project management software. I'm going to look into that." Or, "Good luck with your presentation on Friday. I'd love to hear how it goes." This shows you were genuinely listening. A future-oriented comment like, "I hope we can continue this over coffee sometime," leaves the door open for further contact. Then, state your reason for leaving clearly and politely. You don't need an elaborate excuse, a simple, truthful reason is best. "I should let you mingle with the other guests," or "I need to be heading to my next meeting," or "I don't want to take up any more of your time," are all perfectly acceptable. This provides a logical conclusion and prevents the other person from feeling you are ending the conversation because of them. Finally, deliver a clear and warm final farewell. Use their name, as it is the sweetest sound to any person. "It was a pleasure meeting you, David." Follow this with a standard closing like, "Have a great day," or "Take care." A firm, friendly handshake if appropriate, or a warm smile and a nod, completes the interaction. Turn and leave without looking back, conveying decisiveness. This entire process, appreciation, future intent, clear reason, and warm farewell, takes less than 30 seconds, but its impact is profound and lasting. You are not just ending a chat, you are cementing a positive impression. We have navigated the beginning, the middle, and the end of an introduction. But people are diverse, and a one-size-fits-all approach can fall flat. The final layer of mastery is learning to read your audience and adapt your style in real time. Are they an introvert? An extrovert? A detail-oriented analyst or a big-picture visionary? Tuning into these subtle cues will allow you to connect on a much deeper level. Let's start with the introvert-extrovert spectrum. If you are speaking with someone who is quiet, gives short answers, and seems reserved, they may be more introverted. The worst thing you can do is fire rapid-fire questions at them. Instead, adopt a calmer energy. Speak a little slower and softer. Ask open-ended but thoughtful questions that require more than a yes/no answer, but give them space to think. What kind of work do you find most fulfilling? Is better than "Do you like your job?" Be comfortable with silences, don't feel the need to fill every pause. This respectful space allows them to open up at their own pace. Conversely, with an enthusiastic, fast-talking extrovert, you can match their higher energy to a point. Smile, use more expressive gestures, and be prepared for a dynamic exchange. They will often enjoy telling stories, so be a generous listener and ask follow-up questions that allow them to elaborate. "That's a fascinating story. What happened next?" This validates their communication style and builds instant rapport. Then there are the analytical versus the creative personalities. You can often tell from their initial language. An analytical person might use precise words and ask detailed how questions. When introducing yourself to them, be specific and data-driven. I work in logistics, where I focus on optimizing supply chains to reduce costs by an average of 10%, will resonate far more than I work in logistics to make things more efficient. A creative personality, on the other hand, will often use metaphorical language and talk about ideas and possibilities. With them, lead with the vision and the story. I work in logistics because I'm fascinated by the invisible networks that connect our world. It's like solving a giant, global puzzle every day. This speaks their language and ignites their imagination. The ultimate skill is active observation. From the moment you meet someone, notice their posture, their eye contact, their vocabulary. Listen not just to their words, but to the underlying style. Then, like a dancer adjusting to a partner, make subtle shifts in your own delivery to meet them where they are. This flexibility is the hallmark of a truly sophisticated communicator. It sends a powerful, unspoken message: I see you, and I am engaging with you as you are. We have assembled all the pieces. Now, let us fuse them into a single, seamless flow. This is not a checklist to be memorized, but a symphony to be conducted. From the first spark of eye contact to the final warm farewell, every element should work in harmony. I want to give you a mental model that will make this process feel intuitive and effortless. Think of it as the ICE method: initial connection, content exchange, and elegant exit. The initial connection is everything that happens before you even say your name. It is the universal signal of approachability. You enter a room with calm posture and an open demeanor. You make soft eye contact and offer a genuine, unhurried smile. This nonverbal broadcast says, I am confident and I am friendly. This is when you mentally decide to use the 1-second rule, taking that small breath and stepping forward. The first spoken word is a warm hello or good morning, setting a positive tone. This phase takes mere seconds, but it lays the crucial groundwork for everything that follows. The content exchange is the core of the introduction, where you employ your tailored narrative. This is where "Hi, I'm Maria" expands into its most effective form. Hi, I'm Maria. I'm a UX designer who is passionate about creating apps that feel intuitive, probably because I struggled so much to learn English and realized how important clear design is. You have stated your name, your role, and given a unique, memorable hook, all in 2 sentences. Then, you immediately turn it over to them with an engaging question: what kind of work brings you here? As they speak, you practice active listening, using their words to build threads and find common ground, making the exchange a true dialogue, not a dual monologue. The elegant exit is the final, critical movement. You recognize the natural conclusion of the content exchange, a pause, a completed thought. You then initiate the closing sequence with appreciation: it's been so interesting to hear about your project. You state a simple, honest reason for leaving: I should let you connect with others, and you end with a forward-looking remark that uses their name: I'll definitely keep an eye out for your team's results, John. It was a pleasure meeting you. A final smile and you turn away. This 3-part flow: connection, content, exit, becomes a rhythmic dance you can perform in any situation. The final step is to make this your own. Practice this ICE flow until it feels natural. Record yourself. Role play. The goal is for the technique to dissolve, leaving only the authentic connection. You are no longer nervously reciting lines, you are engaging with another person, equipped with a reliable structure that empowers your personality to shine through. This is the art of the introduction. We have reached the final, and perhaps most transformative, piece of the puzzle, your mindset. All the techniques, scripts, and strategies are powerless against a mindset of fear and self-doubt. The ultimate key to introducing yourself with unshakable confidence is to fundamentally change how you view the entire experience. It is not a test you can fail. It is an exploration you can begin. I want you to reframe your nervous energy. That quickening heartbeat, the flutter in your stomach, this is not anxiety. This is your body's ancient way of preparing for something important. It is a surge of potential energy. The same physiological response that we interpret as fear is also the foundation of excitement. The only difference is the label we put on it. So, from this moment forward, when you feel those sensations before introducing yourself, I want you to consciously say to yourself, I am excited. This isn't positive thinking, it's neurological hacking. Studies show that telling yourself you are excited actually recalibrates your brain to interpret the physical signals as readiness instead of threat. Next, shift your focus from yourself to the other person. Fear makes us hyper-aware of our own perceived flaws. We become trapped in a mental loop. Do I sound smart? Do they like me? Break this loop by turning your attention outward. Become genuinely curious about the person in front of you. What is their story? What can you learn from them? What common ground can you discover? When your mission becomes learning about another human being, the pressure to perform vanishes. You are no longer the star of a scary solo performance, you are an explorer on a joint mission of discovery. Embrace the power of contribution, not perfection. Instead of asking, how can I make a perfect impression, ask, how can I add value to this interaction? Perhaps your value is a simple smile that brightens their day. Perhaps it's a thoughtful question that makes them feel heard. Perhaps it's sharing a piece of information that helps them. When your goal is to contribute, you operate from a place of abundance and generosity. This is an incredibly attractive and confident energy. People may not remember your exact words, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Finally, grant yourself permission to be a learner. You are not a native speaker, and that is your greatest strength, not a weakness. It means you see the language from a unique perspective. You have undertaken a challenging journey that demonstrates courage and resilience. When you release the need to be perfect and embrace your identity as a lifelong learner, every introduction becomes a practice session, and every conversation is a step forward. This growth mindset turns potential embarrassment into valuable feedback. You are not being judged. You are evolving. Carry this mindset with you, and you will never again fear introducing yourself. You will welcome it as the next step in your remarkable journey. And so, we arrive here, at the end of this guide and the very beginning of your new practice. You have a complete toolkit, but a tool unused is merely a concept. The bridge between knowledge and mastery is built with consistent, deliberate action. This is not about a final test, but about integrating these skills into the daily fabric of your life in English until they become as natural as your own heartbeat. Let's create your first action plan. I want you to start with one tiny commitment. Do not try to change everything at once. This week, your only goal is to master the initial connection from the ICE method. Your mission is to consciously make soft eye contact and offer a genuine smile before you speak, in every single interaction, whether it's with a colleague, a cashier, or a language partner. That's it. Just 1 week of focusing on that nonverbal foundation. You will be amazed at how this small shift changes the energy of your exchanges. Next, I want you to create your personal introduction playbook. Take a notebook or a digital document and dedicate a page to each of the key scenarios we've covered: the casual social gathering, the formal business meeting, the job interview, the digital introduction. For each, write down your polished, 2-sentence narrative hook. Write down your go-to open-ended question. Write down your graceful exit line. This playbook is your personal security blanket. Review it for 5 minutes each morning. This constant, low-effort rehearsal will make these phrases readily available when you need them most. Your third action is to find your lab. You must practice in an environment where there is no real-world penalty for mistakes. This could be a language exchange app, a conversation club, or even a supportive friend. In your lab, I want you to experiment. Try out different narrative hooks. Practice recovering from awkward silences on purpose. Test your deflections for personal questions. The lab is where you build the muscle memory and the resilience that will make you unshakable in real situations. Finally, embrace the role of a lifelong student. The most confident communicators are those who remain endlessly curious. Listen to how native speakers introduce themselves in podcasts and interviews. Collect phrases that resonate with you. Ask for gentle feedback from trusted friends. Every introduction you ever make from this day forward is not a performance to be graded, but a step in your continuous journey of growth and connection. You are not becoming someone else, you are becoming the most articulate, confident, and connected version of yourself. Now, go and introduce that amazing person to the world. The most powerful introduction you will ever make is not to another person, but to yourself. Every time you step forward, smile, and share your name in English, you are not just performing a social ritual. You are reaffirming your own identity as a confident, global communicator. You are telling yourself, I belong in this conversation. My voice has value. This internal recognition is the true prize, far beyond any external success it may bring. Think of your ability to introduce yourself as a key. It is a simple tool, but it unlocks countless doors. It unlocks doors to new friendships, to professional opportunities, to unexpected adventures, and to a deeper understanding of the world. Every time you use this key, you are not just opening a door for a conversation, you are opening a door to a potential new version of your own life. The person you are after a year of confidently introducing yourself will be vastly different from the person you are today. They will be more connected, more self-assured, and more open to the infinite possibilities that arise from human connection. I want you to carry one final thought with you. You will have good days and bad days. Some introductions will feel effortless and brilliant, others might feel clumsy. This is the human experience, not a measure of your worth. On the days it feels difficult, be kind to yourself. Remember the progress you have made, even if it seems small. Celebrate the courage it took to simply say hello instead of focusing on the perfect sentence that followed. Your journey is unique, and every single attempt is a victory. Your story is still being written, and every new person you meet becomes a part of it. Now you have the tools to ensure that each of those meetings begins with confidence, clarity, and the genuine intention to connect. The world is full of fascinating people waiting to hear from you. You have your key. Go and unlock the doors. Now, let's transform knowledge into unshakable habit. Understanding the theory is one thing, making it your automatic response is another. This final part is your launch sequence. I want to give you a clear, 30-day challenge to cement every single thing we've learned. This isn't about perfection, it's about consistent practice that rewires your instincts. Are you ready? Your first week is dedicated to the fundamentals. Each day, you have one mission. Day 1, practice your 2-sentence introduction in the mirror 5 times, focusing on your smile and eye contact. Day 2, record yourself on your phone saying your introduction for a casual, then a formal setting. Listen back and adjust your tone. Day 3, in a low-stakes situation, like with a barista or a neighbor, make a point of using their name after they introduce themselves. Thanks, John, or have a good one, Sarah. Day 4, practice the graceful exit line we discussed out loud. Day 5, role-play the bat technique for handling silence. Day 6, write down 3 open-ended questions you can use in any situation. Day 7, rest and mentally review. This week builds your core muscles. The second week, we integrate. Your daily missions now involve real, minor interactions. Your goal is to initiate one simple introduction per day. This could be a compliment to a colleague that leads to a hi, I'm, or striking up a brief chat with someone in a waiting room. The context doesn't matter, the action does. The focus this week is not on the length of the conversation, but on successfully starting it and using your initial connection skills. Remember your posture and that first breath. Each small success is a brick in the foundation of your confidence. The third week is for refinement. Now you actively seek out slightly more challenging environments. Perhaps you join an online English conversation group. You introduce yourself in a meeting when you normally would have stayed quiet. You send a professional connection request on LinkedIn with a personalized introduction based on our email template. This week, you are applying the skills in targeted scenarios, testing your narrative hook and your ability to ask engaging questions. This is your lab week, where you can make adjustments in real time. The fourth and final week is for ownership. Your mission is to reflect each day on one introduction that went well. What did you do right? Which technique felt most natural? This week, the practice continues, but the primary focus is on building your self-awareness and confidence. By day 30, introducing yourself in English will no longer be a source of anxiety. It will be a normal, even enjoyable, part of your communication repertoire. You have done the work. You have practiced the skills. Now, you get to live with the confidence you have earned. Think of your voice not just as a tool for conveying words, but as an instrument for conveying character. The pace, the pitch, the power behind your words, this is the subtle music of your introduction. Let's move beyond what you say and refine how you say it. This is the final polish that transforms a good introduction into an unforgettable one. Begin with the power of the pause. A well-placed silence is not empty space, it is impactful emphasis. Practice inserting a brief, confident pause right after you say your name. Hi, I'm David. Pause, and I specialize in financial analytics. This pause does 2 things. It allows the other person to process your name, and it makes you sound considered and confident, not rushed. Use another slight pause before your key narrative hook to give it weight. What really drives me? Pause is solving complex data puzzles. These micro-silences command attention. Next, consider your vocal range. Speaking in a monotone is the quickest way to lose someone's interest, no matter how interesting your content. Your voice should have a gentle melody. Use a slightly higher pitch to convey enthusiasm and a slightly lower pitch to convey sincerity. When you say something you are passionate about, let your pitch rise naturally. When you state a core value or a serious point, allow your pitch to settle into a warmer, lower tone. The contrast is what makes your speech engaging and dynamic. Articulation is your anchor. Clarity trumps speed every single time. Focus on the crisp delivery of your ending consonants, the T in project, the D in brand. This doesn't mean being stiff. It means being precise. It signals care and professionalism. A simple exercise is to practice saying a tongue twister slowly and deliberately before an important introduction. This wakes up your articulators, your lips, your tongue, your jaw, and prepares them for clear speech. Finally, connect your voice to your breath. Nervousness leads to shallow breathing, which creates a thin, weak sound. Before you speak, take a quiet, full breath that expands your diaphragm. Support your sentences from this deep breath. This gives your voice a resonant, stable quality that is inherently calming and authoritative. A voice that comes from the chest sounds confident, a voice that comes from the throat sounds strained. Your breath is the fuel for your conviction. By mastering these elements, the strategic pause, the melodic range, the crisp articulation, and the supported breath, you imbue your introduction with a professional charisma that goes far beyond the script. People will feel your presence as much as they hear your words. This is the art of delivery, and it is what makes people lean in and listen. This journey began with a moment of fear, that heart-racing, mind-blanking instant when you need to introduce yourself. It ends here, with a simple, profound truth: you already have everything you need. The words, the strategies, the nuances, they are now part of you. This isn't an end, but a beginning. The first day of the rest of your life as a confident English speaker. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine your future self. They walk into a room not with anxiety, but with anticipation. They meet a stranger's eyes and see not a judge, but a potential friend. They hear the opportunity to speak not as a test, but as a chance to connect. This person is not a different version of you. This is you, armed with the understanding that introducing yourself is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about the courage to be seen, to be heard, and to listen in return. The world is a vast, interconnected conversation, and you now hold the passcode. You have the tools to step into any scenario, from a virtual meeting to a crowded conference hall, and to not just participate, but to belong. Your accent, your grammar, your moments of hesitation, these are not flaws. They are the authentic signature of your journey, the proof of your bravery. They make your voice uniquely and powerfully yours. So, from this moment forward, your only task is to practice. To try. To sometimes stumble, and to always get back up. Every hello is a victory. Every exchanged name is a success. You are no longer a student of introductions, you are a practitioner of connection. The script is finished, but your story is just getting started. Go out there and introduce the amazing person you are to a world that is waiting to listen.